Oh, and another thing that I wanted to raise, just about genre, even though Game of Thrones did well and Fringe did badly, The Walking Dead only got 2 nods all up. I don't know what categories, probably makeup or something like that, but it didn't do as well as I thought it was going to do. That's a shame. And True Blood didn't do very well either. It didn't get any of its actors, including Dennis O'Hare, except for Alfre Woodard, who pretty much would get nominated for reading the paper. So I don't. That's a shame for that show as well. Yeah,
no,
but
definitely. And we've got Bobbert Paulson. Critics, viewers have cooled to Glee, so it's not getting acting nominations outside of the guest categories. And Carl Weldo then backs it up with Modern Family gained 3, Glee lost 4.
right. Well, there you go. Does that maybe show a tide is turning and that it's not going to be as much of a 2-horse race as we thought? And Modern Family getting 17 nods for a comedy series is very impressive. And Glee... Go on, sorry, Matt.
I don't think Glee is Modern Family's biggest concern.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think we do. Yeah, I think it's got a chance, but it's not. It wouldn't be my number 2.
No, well, I mean, it didn't do very well in the acting categories. It did quite well in the guest actress category, and Chris Coffer got a nomination, obviously Jane Lynch, but the 2 leads were bumped out. That's I was expecting that, but it actually happened. So I think
we've got to talk good. We've got to talk Good Wife, Rob, because you have got the theory.
We do.
Or it had the theory that the Good Wife would be Mad Men's biggest competition, perhaps take that crown away from Mad Men. After the nominations are out, does it confirm or hurt, or what? How do you feel about that now?
I tell you what, I'm disappointed that I have to maybe back away from my stance, but I think I'm going to have to back away. I'll give it some more thought, but it only received 9 nominations. It did quite well in the acting categories, but the fact that they didn't submit that finale really bothers me. Yes. And if that's how they're going to proceed, then I think they've made a very fatal error. And with Mad Men's impressive 4th season, Boardwalk Empire getting 18 nominations, Game of Thrones getting 13, even Dexter did okay, got 5. I don't think the broadcast networks are going to win the drama series Emmy this year, unfortunately. But I don't know. I'm going to think about that one. I still might decide to stand up on that podium on my own and argue for Good Wife, maybe just for the fun of it. So we'll see what happens.
Last year, Good Wife got 10, so it's on 9 this year. So it's dropped.
Right.
And
that's good to know.
Yeah, and it's got more acting nominations. Correct.
Right.
So that must mean that less branches have nominated it.
That's right. And some of us were thinking that it would actually improve this year. It would actually really break through and smash through all these categories, and it hasn't done that. For such an impressive 2nd season and with all that buzz, that's a shocker. That's actually quite surprising. I didn't pick that up before, but yeah, okay.
Tom actually thinks that Friday Night Lights is the show to challenge The Good Wife. To challenge Mad Men, sorry.
That's a really good point. The fact that it made it through, I mean, I don't know about you, Matt, but when I was watching the announcement and, Friday Night Lights turned up on the little the window behind the announcers, I just did a fist pump. I was so happy for it. It's so good to see Friday Night Lights in that list finally. And I've seen the 5th season, and it's really, really worthy. And, that's a possibility, but I don't know. Mad Men's 4th season, so impressive.
Yeah. It's very good.
And even Boardwalk Empire. But anyway.
Fair Willad says Friday Night Lights deserves it.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good Gold Derby moment, Friday Night Lights, big break for
me.
Because I remember that first year when Friday Night Lights aired. I remember that, and the forums were so on Friday Night Lights' side. They wanted Kyle, they wanted Connie, they wanted the series. They were so pumped for it. Then it didn't get any of them, and I think everyone was a bit disappointed. And it's nice 5 years later that those fans and people who stuck with the show have their moment where Friday Night Lights has made it into drama series.
I know. I almost can't believe it. It's really, really fantastic. I'm very happy for the whole show and Jason Katims, and well done to them. And yeah, Tom's right. If there's going to be any sentiment behind this, the voting for this category, it's a threat for sure. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. Do you, Stigmata09 has Amen at FNL. Yeah,
Yeah, amen for sure.
yeah,
If only there was a few other shows that are, are kind of on the outskirts of being favourites that might have broken through. My disappointment is going to take a few days to dissipate for
yeah.
shows like Fringe and so forth, and hopefully that I'll stop beating a dead horse and we'll just all move on. But
Yeah.
at least, yeah, let's try to think of the positives, and Friday Night Lights is certainly one of those. I'm also very happy for certain people, like there are certain actors who are nominated. Like I'll give you an example. One of my faves, Idris Elba, he got not one but two nominations, and you and I know him quite well.
Yeah.
We both spoke to him
Yeah.
a few weeks ago, and he probably wasn't really believing us when we said, you're probably going to get two nominations. Well, he got them. He got one for The Big C and he got one for Luther, which is really cool. That's very exciting stuff. And
He got the Gold Derby bump.
he got the Gold Derby bump, and you know what? We're going to have to do an analysis to see who got the Gold Derby bump, because I think
Yeah.
quite a few people here should be very, very grateful that we've been championing their chances. But I'm happy for
Apologies
Joan
to
Cusack.
Stephen. Yeah, apologies to Stephen Colbert for stealing his bit.
Yes, no, that's
With the
okay. Look,
Colbert.
it's
Yeah,
all
I think it's okay.
it's all okay. We're allowed to do that. But Joan Cusack got a nomination for Shameless. That show was otherwise ignored. I think you guys were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
That's a shame. But a shame. Well, it's shameless. But and also in the guest actress category as well, I was really shocked to not see Sheree Agdashlu or really anyone from Law and Order Special Victims Unit. Isn't that like the Emmy rule now, that that show is just supposed to get someone in that category, and it didn't even crack anyone in there at all?
No,
That's
no
a shocker.
guest actress from Law and Order SVU got nominated.
Yeah,
For
that's really surprising.
This is fantastic news.
Well, I don't know. I was hoping to see Sheree Agdashlu, but in her place were two actresses from Mad Men, Cara Buono and Randy Heller, good old Mrs. Blankenship. That's great. That's so cool to see her in the list. And Mary McDonnell from The Closer. So Kira Sedgwick gets snubbed, but Mary McDonnell makes it through. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So that's a category to watch quite closely. But on the drama guest actor side, strange nominations: Paul McCrane from Harry's Law, Beau Bridges, who's brilliant Emmy magnet from Brothers and Sisters, and Jeremy Davies from Justified as well. So Justified's done quite well. I'm very impressed with the way the Emmy voters have embraced that show. It was probably right on the cusp in the drama series category, actually. Going by this, it looks like it's actually done quite well. So that's pretty cool as well.
Definitely. And we've got some from Stigmata09 and Fair Willard. Bit of disappointment about Toni Collette's snub, I guess.
Yeah, totally. I was disappointed to be. I mean, I know that show is not very funny, and anyone who's seen that third season, it's incredibly dark. But her performance in the third season of United States of Tara was really fantastic, and she deserves to be in the category. But how can you really argue with the six ladies who's made it in? They're all very impressive, especially for someone like Melissa McCarthy and even Martha Plimpton, who were kind of like on the cusp. That's wonderful news for them. So it looks like United States of Tara was completely snubbed. Obviously, voters had tired of that show. Yeah, that's a bit of a shame, really. Also, I wanted to say, thinking of Showtime episodes, the Matt LeBlanc vehicle did actually quite well. Yeah, he got in, and I think it got in a couple of technical categories, and maybe the directing or writing category, which is very cool for such a small show that really didn't set the ratings on fire. Did very well. That reminds me, Matt, sorry, I'm all over the place tonight.
That's
as
okay.
you know, you and I, it's quite late for us, but Johnny Galecki, mate. Johnny Galecki made it in.
Yeah.
That is so cool. That was like one of my favourite things. I'm such a long-time fan of his from the Roseanne days. I got to talk to him, which was one of my highlights of the year. He makes it in along with his co-star Jim Parsons. That is so wonderful. He was given such great material last season, and it paid off. I remember saying to Tom, Johnny Galecki's going to get nominated, and Tom's like, nah, it's not going to happen. So I took him out of my predictions, and I should have just stayed with my gut instinct, but I'm happy for him. That's very, very cool.
Does this help Jim Parsons?
Well, yes, it does actually. Good point. It does help Jim Parsons, probably more so than the other way around, given that Johnny Galecki is the straight man of that series. But I don't think Johnny Galecki is going to care so much about that today. I think he's going to be popping the champagne because he's finally been recognised for that show. I don't think he cares about winning the Emmy at the moment. Maybe he will later, but it certainly helps Jim Parsons, yeah.
Yeah, and Johnny Galecki seems to be in any old TV show I'm watching on TV, so he's been in the business for a while.
He's been around, mate. He
Yeah.
has been around, and it's very cool. I don't know if you and Tom have talked about Ed O'Neill, but thank God he made it in. Although, Katie Sagal wasn't able to do it, but thank God we can see Ed O'Neill in that list. And apart from that, Jon Cryer did it, but not. I get kind of against the odds. Jesse Tyler Ferguson made it through, but Neil Patrick Harris didn't. So I'm very surprised by that. Or actually, no, I'm not really. I was even saying last week to Tom and Chris, Neil Patrick Harris is probably going to be snubbed, and they just laughed at me. But so I'm glad that I was slightly right about that. Although I'm not very happy to see him snubbed for such a great performance. And it looks like John Lithgow didn't make it through either for that show. But then it got a directing nod, so that's odd.
Stigmata 09, boo for Cryer. Do we think he can win? Do we think he can win, Rob? Jon Cryer can win. I don't think so. We were saying that the year he won, though.
I know, and I feel really bad. Everyone is so mean about Jon Cryer. He's he seems like such a lovely guy. I don't know him, but he seems like a lovely guy, and there's really no need to be so mean to him. But why is he nominated again? Isn't it time to move on, like the Kira Sedgwick thing? Remember Eric McCormick won for Will and Grace a few years ago, and then the next year I think he wasn't even nominated. I think that happened to him. Why can't that happen now? You know what I mean? It's time to move on from 2.5 Men, I think. Unless Ashton Kutcher does something really impressive next season and then he's nominated next year, I think we need to move on from that show. That's just my personal opinion. Nothing against Jon Cryer personally.
Yeah, no. So, Rob, do you have any final thoughts?
Well, look, I tell you what, I think I wrote down all these really interesting things that I wanted to talk about. I'm really a big fan of the miniseries and movie categories, and I just wanted to say, well done to Downton Abbey, boo to not nominating Carlos or Luther, and look, there's so much to think about and talk about over the next few weeks. It's terribly exciting, and I guess we'll have to touch base in the next few weeks.
Definitely. Well, thanks for your time, Rob.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. Okay, I think I went pretty well with Rob.